Hey everyone, welcome to It Tastes Different Gaming Appetizers. What are we talking about this time? Well, Nvidia is building an AI mod tool that can automatically remaster classic games. So let me put this out there and then we'll talk about it here. So Nvidia revealed the RTX Remix, a mod tool that can nearly automate the process of creating HD remasters for classic PC games, adding ray tracing and other modern graphical techniques with the touch of a button. So Nvidia showed off. So one of the things Nvidia showed off was Elder Scrolls 3 Morrowind. A demonstration of the video show they basically, with one hit of a button to capture any scene in the game, the RTX Remix tool can import the captured screen, adding ray trace lighting to the game's original light sources, automatically upscaling the game's textures to AI enhanced versions, and turning those textures into modern realistic materials that can naturally interact with light and show. So they basically, according to Nvidia, pure AI upscalers are never perfect. So one of the examples they give is they try to recreate the scene. There's a paper lantern, and the paper lantern, basically what the AI tool does is it blocks out all the light from the lantern. But with a couple of clicks, the modder was able to basically make the paper on the lantern opaque so that the light shines through. So, hey, pretty cool stuff, right? So the RTX Remix will also integrate directly into Maya for modeling, so modders can create brand new high detailed objects and easily import them into the games, which is pretty neat. Right now, this tool is basically supported for DirectX 8 and DirectX 9 games with fixed function graphics pipelines, basically looking for currently Nvidia is going to put out a whitelist basically saying these are the games that can work with this tool at the current time. They're saying basically around the games that were with the GeForce 2, so around the 2000s, around there is kind of the ballpark of games that came around that time that really didn't have any sort of AI or any sort of like within the engine to really mess around with light and various things like engines do nowadays, right? So it's games like that. But Nvidia did say that their upcoming portal with the RTX update was created with RTX Remix. So there may still be like modern applications for the tool. So for whatever games are supported, and NVIDIA says that while an RTX GPU is required to create these mods, any hardware that can run the Vulkan ray traced games will be capable of using the results. So basically, it doesn't have to be a specific card, just any or specific games, just basically anything that can utilize that has an RTX GPU and can in that hardware can do Vulkan ray traced games or make ray tracing, Vulkan ray tracing. It will be able to utilize this AI Remix, RTX Remix tool. So quite a bit of information out there, but it sounds pretty cool. It means that I don't know what it'll mean, right? I mean, the list might be kind of small starting out, but in the future, they could definitely expand this. And then, damn, you might have been, I don't know. We'll go around and see what everybody thinks about this. Pat, I see him shaking his head. He wants to go first. Pat, what do you think?
Just what everybody wants for Christmas. More remasters. Because that's what's going to happen, right? Instead, that company was eyeballing possibly remaking their game into something better. But now they're like, how about I click a button and remaster this thing in 1/3 of the time or 1/4 of the time and then sell it for a $70 price tag? Because that's what I see happening with this tool, in my opinion. Because we got it's not as if we don't have enough remasters coming out the pipeline right now. I am so sick and tired of remasters, but that's just me because some of my beloved developers out there are too focused on remastering something right now than creating something brand new. But that's just my opinion. I am not a huge fan of remasters, especially if it's a game that's been released in the last 10 years. It doesn't need a remaster. It doesn't need a remake. It doesn't need anything. If you want to play it, play it. Play it on a backwards compatibility list somewhere, something. You don't need a remaster or a remake of that. 20, 30-year-old games, now we're talking, you could do a remaster, but I'd prefer you to remake that game and a new vision for that game. You know, even if you keep the original story and just remaster it, add some more voice dialogue that wasn't there before. It was all text based and, and new textures and new animations and things like that. Tell the same story, but tell it with new technology. Don't take a brush and polish that turd and put it back out. Even though it's a beloved title, I'm looking at you, Last of Us, with umpteen 50 copies of the same game. It is what it is in that case. These guys are just going to start pumping out more remasters and less new and cool stuff because they can do a brush stroke and charge you $70 again, because that's what these companies do. Don't believe me? Look at The Last of Us, the latest remaster of Last of Us. $70 game. Shame on you guys. But the reason why they do it is because there's people out there that buy it. So as long as people are out there willing to buy it, they're willing to put it out. So, and just think about this. If this tool makes it easier for them to do their job, are they going to reduce the price of that remaster? Oh no, that's forbidden. It's still going to be a $60 or $70 remaster. And guess what? You're going to suck it up because you love it. I'm against remasters for the most part. Unless, like I said, 20, 30-year-old game, cool. I'd like to try that. But they can always use the argument like we're trying to remaster it so it's available for a newer generation of gamer. But come on, really? I mean, be realistic. The people there, they may get a few new people in, but they're going to get a lot more fan people possibly buying it. But who's to blame? The people that are buying it, in my opinion. What about you, Shane? You ready for the year of the remaster?
I think it's Vulcan awesome. This is, I don't disagree with pretty much anything you said, though, Pat. You're absolutely right. It's just going to be a cash grab on old games. But that said, I do believe there should be a moratorium, 10-year minimum on a game. It has to be older than 10 years. I'll split the difference and go 15 with you. But you're right. I mean, they're going to cash grab this thing. But there are some games out there that just hold up over time. Nick is old school, loves old school games. And this would be amazing to jump into some of his old classics. To jump into Metal Gear Solid, the original, and have it finally updated. Because I don't think I'm ever going to get the remake or remaster that I wanted of the original. But, if I could jump back into something like that, that would be pretty cool. I'm not paying $70 though. So they can suck a butt there. It's really cool in its own way, but only if you are into the old, because none of these games are going to look current gen, next gen, from what I saw, but they're definitely going to look 1,000 times better than what they were 20 years ago. Because what'd you say, Nick? The 2000s is what they're hitting at. That's 22 years ago, almost 23. So those games, I still love those games, but I think for Nick and even me, depending on the game, it will work great. But they are never going to get a $70 out of me for, like you said, just polishing a turd and putting it on a shelf. I didn't buy The Last of Us remaster. I think it's third remaster. I didn't buy the 50th Skyrim version. I didn't buy the 30th version of Grand Theft Auto. I played the originals, and I'm happy. I did get the first remaster for Last of Us, for my daughter, for her birthday gift, because she wanted to play it. So I was like, because I already traded mine in after I beat it. Amazing game. Definitely one of my favorite games of all time. So I was okay with doing it that way because she hasn't played it. She's got to get a little better experience out of it. I don't need to buy the same game 4 times. I don't. Now, that said, I also buy a lot of old games like Nick and Pat, and I play them, and some of them I don't play. Some of them I just want for the aesthetic because, childhood memories and things like that. So I think something like this is great for people like Nick and me in its own way. And I think in some ways it might even hit Pat a little bit here and there. not $70 hit, but he might find that one that gets remastered, like Knights of the Old Republic. They did that, slap $40 on it. Pat, I bet you'd buy it. You don't think?
I don't need a remaster. I want a remake. I mean, I played it. I don't have a desire to go back and play it again. That's
Really?
the difference between probably me and you guys is I don't have the desire to go back and play something that I've already played through. I have the problem of I have too much shit to play right now and not enough time.
True.
So why do I want to play something that I've already actually beat, and can still vividly remember the game? Like I can vividly the games I loved, I can still vividly remember. I vividly remember Knights of the Old Republic, Knights of the Old Republic 2. I vividly remember those games, HK Bot and all that stuff and the Light in the Dark and all that stuff. That stuff is still ingrained in my brain. The stuff that I don't remember obviously wasn't that great to me. So I have no desire to even go back and replay some of that stuff, right? That's how my brain works with this stuff. I mean, I've got so much stuff sitting in back catalog right now that I don't need this. And the only way I'm going to play it, and this is coming from me, is something that I've never played before. And I use this example all the time, but Final Fantasy VII, but that was a remaster, and that's what I want. I would rather have a remaster, reimagining, than a remake, because I never got to play the Final Fantasy VII game, but I played the remake, and I love that game. It's awesome, fucking awesome. If I would have probably played it back in the day, I would have loved it too, which in my opinion would have lessened what they did now, to me anyway, because I'd have been like, I don't really have the desire to play it, Now when they do 8 and all the rest of them and remaster those, I'll get to play them the first time. I won't have that experience like you had, Shane, with 8 being your favorite, right? And then because 7 has not lived up to the hype of the original one to you. You constantly bitch about 7 as fluffware, or and all this stuff.
No, the remake is
yeah, the remake is what I'm talking about.
Filler, yeah. The remake is filler, man. Yeah.
But to me, it's fucking amazing.
Yes, but you're weird. So
no, it's because I didn't play the original.
I played the original, and I thought the remake was amazing as well.
I thought it was,
and the DLC for it was great.
Yeah, I mean the game itself overall was great. My problem was it was just so much fluff and filler into it that they could have put so much of the original stuff back into it. And I don't mean scenes and all that, but they could have had more touches of the original in there instead of making up a bunch of crap that to me they didn't need. But that is just me. That's my opinion. And that's that's why there's 3 of us. So we could, one of us can be the odd man out and me again. So, but I like the ideal of it in a lot of ways, but my biggest thing is what you were saying, Pat, is price. And I refuse to pay $70 for a 20-year-old game that's just painted. So unless it's Final Fantasy VIII, then I'm okay. What about you, Nick?
Yeah, I mean, it's cool technology. I'll give it that. And that's one thing I worry about too, is I don't want them to see like, okay, we're going to remaster all these games now that we have this tech. We can just click the button and out the door it goes. Right? Can I do it myself? Not like if I had that type of Nvidia card in my computer, and can I get this software and just be like, I want to play, I don't know, this X game. Let me just hit the touch up button here, and and then awesome, that would be cool. Is where I could just hit the button and play my own remaster it myself, really, right? I mean, right now the AI tools are not 100% perfect, but over time they will get better and better. And so, in this case, in the example, like the modder had to fix the lantern, for example, but in the future that won't be the case, right? Where the modder won't have to. And as the future progresses, this type of technology, if it kicks off and becomes mainstream, right, and used, that could be a consumer product, right, where a consumer could just go in and press a button in an older game and be able to, and it'd be affordable, right? That's years and years down the line, but they could click it and then it goes, right? if they were able to give it to consumers, right? But if they do, that just makes it to where if X company is going to remaster or remake a game, then they better do a really good job of it, because I got this magic button that does a pretty good job, right? So you're going to have to really remaster or reconfigure this game. Otherwise, it ain't going to be worth my time. But yeah, I'm afraid of that too. I don't want them to just decide that, hey, now we have a magic button, let's just press it and start spitting out older games. Hey, we're remaking like 10 of them now. I'm going to just hit the button and put them out for $70 each, because they can, because the technology is there now, right? So it's really cool technology. I like the things that Nvidia does and the directions they go with certain things. They have some really cool tech that they come up with. And this one's an example of some really cool tech, but how people utilize it and how developers utilize this technology, we'll have to wait and see on that, right? So who knows?
Yeah, just like any technology, somebody's gonna try to abuse it, and typically it's going to be a company trying to make that extra bank off of doing nothing. So,
or less, right? And it's less. It's not really doing nothing, right? Because they still have to check everything, because if they trust this, you end up having a lantern. Or you end up having a lantern that comes out looking like a giant phallic instrument, and they're like, nobody checked it, and be like, how'd that dildo get on the mantle over there? And somebody's going to post that in there, or something stupid, because it's not infallible. It's technology. It's not the human eye, and our human eyes our human eyes and brains are used to picking out patterns and things like that, so we can see things that a machine learning can't yet. I use the term yet because it's just not there yet. One day maybe, but right now, you end up with something that's not supposed to be there. That candlestick turns into a banana, or who knows what it turns into. Not supposed to be, but basically it's supposed to update, make things look more modern, ray tracing, all that kind of stuff, which is cool. But my biggest concern is that, we're going to have the year of the remaster and nothing new, or a very limited new year. And I'm going to be like, God, I'm going to catch up on my back catalog. That's going to be the demise of me right there, catching up on my back catalog going, I got nothing, guys. I got nothing. What am I going to do? But that's just me. Like I said, I also have the problem with, I don't do DLC very often because of that. Like, you talked about Resident Evil, the winter earlier. I won't probably play that because I've already experienced the Resident Evil game. And that's my biggest concern with DLC. That's another topic for another story, but I have that same problem. It's like, I already enjoyed that story. I enjoyed that piece of art. I have moved on to other things. I don't need to come back to that piece, because my biggest problem with that is that my brain doesn't store how to play that game when I haven't touched it in a year. So when I come back to it, I'm like, how do I play this again? What was the buttons to do this or that and this and that? And then I get frustrated. I'm like, you know what? I'm done. Or I'll restart if I really love a game, but that's very rare for me. So this type of stuff's not for me. It's for me if I've never played the original that they remastered. But like I said, I want a remaster, I want a remake, not a remaster.
Well, I think you're depriving yourself.
I think you are too with Final Fantasy VII Remake.
I played it. I loved it. It's just there's too much bunk in there that was not needed. And the DLC is good too. Nick is definitely right there.
Yeah, DLC is good. Yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, as much as I love that game, I have the DLC. I've never played it because that's just, I don't go back to that stuff,
You're missing something there, though. I mean, it's
the continuation of the story,
like you're
right?
playing. No, I wouldn't even say it's a continuation. No. It's more like a something you missed. It doesn't play like
during the cloud and everybody else doing their stuff.
But like I said, here's the problem I have is like, okay, when I did Final Fantasy, I learned the controls through playing through the beginning intro. They don't put that in DLC. So I have to go back and do like another game to get. Do they have it in this one? Not all DLCs do that.
No,
they don't go
don't.
back
You're
and give you.
Right.
Okay. Well, that's good.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. They do have a training thing in the beginning that goes over.
I could probably give that one a try. I mean, I've got it sitting on my desk right over here, and I just have yet to put it in and play it. So, I mean, I love the game that
acts
much.
as a standalone, right? It almost acts as a standalone more than a DLC, because you go to a separate menu and everything like that. So it's almost like a separate game, sort of, kind of. Anyway, yeah. I mean, I like
little.
I'm the problem with remasters as well. I'm bad about rebuying remasters, so I'm in that group of people that are bad about buying those things. I think it's the nostalgia part that I'm like, oh yeah, I remember that game. I want to buy it now that it's that they polished that turd up and they put it out for me. Yes, here's my money. I'll take that turd. Thank you. So I'm bad about that. But yeah, I mean, if it's the year of remasters and all they're using is this type of technology, that might be, there are times where I'm like, but I 100% agree, right? I 100% agree with, like, if you're going to take the time to develop something and everything like that, then give me something new, right? I love the old game, but take the time to make something new out of it. Like Final Fantasy Remake in this case was a brand new from scratch recreation. That's fine if you want to do that. But if you're saying, hey, I'm going to release, the Legacy of Kain and we're just going to remaster, I'd be like, that's cool, but I'd like a Legacy of Kain 3 maybe, or something like that, or like a Soul Reaver 3 or something like that, right? Because I have the originals. I can play them if I want to. It'd be cool to play them in modern setting, but I'd like for them to continue that on. So that's kind of what I more look at is a newer versions of those games and not just the remasters. I want something new with the characters and worlds that we love or loved back in the day. So I don't know. We'll see what they do with this technology. It's in its early stages. So, but it's a pretty cool piece of tech. So we'll see what Nvidia does with it in the future. Do you guys have anything else you want to say about this before we wrap it up?
Not just one thing though. Don't forget though, when they clean up a world and they make it look, Resident Evil 2 and 3 is a great example. I mean, technically, yes, they're more of the remake end, but they have a lot of the settings and things in the originals. That can really make a game feel new. Now, doesn't mean it's new, but it can make it feel new when they are polished to that degree. Now, granted, those are very rare, because you don't see too many games that are redone that way and that well. So, but I just wanted to point that out.
Yep, for sure. Yeah, and Resident Evil was more on the remake side, right? Because Resident Evil 2 and 3 had a lot of new areas and new monsters and mechanics and things that the originals did not have. So it was kind of like a reimagining of those games in a sense. Very good games, especially 2. 2 was a really good remake. Anywho, let's wrap it up here. Let's finish this off. Thanks everybody for watching. If you watched this far, make sure to like the video, make sure to subscribe and hit the bell notifications to stay up to date with new videos that we do all the time. Also, down in the comments below, tell us what you think. Do you like remasters? Do you love remasters? What do you think of this technology? Have you looked it up? Have you looked into it? Would you like a button to remaster your life? I know I would. Just hit it right now. But it's like that old commercial where they had the Staples or whatever. They had the one button or whatever it was. Yeah, if you could just have a button. But this is a really cool piece of technology. Hopefully developers take this tech and do something really cool with it instead of just a polishment of the turd. But we'll see. But let us know down in the comments below what you think. And other than that, we'll see you next time.
See ya.